Hi, I'm Dr. Water. I'm a doctor, the kind who keeps working adults healthy, occupational, and preventive medicine. Starting today, on and off, I'm running a series that calls monsters into the clinic. Patient number 1, a zombie. Watching zombie stories, have you thought? Get bitten, your personality vanishes, and you become a thing that just groans and attacks others. Could that work as an infectious disease? I get it. A virus or parasite hijacking a person's mind and taking the wheel. It's sci-fi, and yet oddly, strangely real feeling. So today, not as a review of any work, but as a story about your body, I'll check the math against real medicine. The short version up front, the dead rising, is fantasy, but infection-changing behavior is startlingly real. Rather than judging any work, I check how far can infection-changing behavior actually go in a human body. Backing every medical claim with a paper. Let's hold each zombie symptom up against a real diseases chart. Bitten, infected, changed, attacking others. No such disease exists, right? Actually, it does. The zombie's standard setup: infected, reason fades, agitated, attacks people, and biting creates the next case. Pull just that out and there's a disease that's almost exactly it. Rabies. It has two broad forms, and the encephalitic, furious form, with agitation, confusion, and aggressive behavior, accounts for about 80% of human cases. In the furious form, patients can become intensely anxious and agitated, and at times show aggression. And the virus spreads mainly through a bite, via saliva, spreads by biting. The zombie's transmission mode is something rabies already does. Similar enough that the theory, one origin of the zombie was rabies, gets an eerie plausibility. A theory, but still. Takeaway: spreads by biting, and infection changes behavior, isn't a fiction invention, a real infectious disease. Rabies already embodies it, it's said. A zombie fearing water is just staging, surely? No, that's in the textbook. In some works, the infected show a strange reaction to water or liquids. Medically, that may be a very meaningful depiction. One of rabies' most characteristic symptoms is hydrophobia. Try to drink water, and the breathing muscles like the diaphragm seize, the throat muscles spasm, and intense fear layers on top, so the mere sight of water triggers a violent reaction. It's a textbook finding, said to appear in about 50 to 80% of rabies patients. Dreads water abnormally, isn't staging, it maps cleanly onto a real encephalitis symptom. By this point, a zombie looks less like an imagined monster and more like a character assembled from the symptoms of a real encephalitis. Takeaway: fears water is a core rabies symptom. A strange depiction in fiction can match a real chart, it's said. So can rabies be cured? Straight-faced here. Having read Q1 and Q2, I don't want you consuming rabies as fun trivia, so I'll stop the wit just here. Once rabies develops, it is almost certainly fatal, and there is at present no established effective treatment. That's not exaggeration. It's among the deadliest infectious diseases there is. When a zombie film says there's no cure for this disease, it's sadly close to fact. But here's what truly matters. Before symptoms, right after an animal bite, the story is completely different. Wash the wound well and get the rabies vaccine, with immunoglobulin if needed, at the right timing, and development can be prevented with high probability. So rabies is a disease where, once it develops, you can't be saved, but after a bite you can still make it in time. So remember just this. If you're bitten or scratched by a dog, cat, bat, monkey, etc. abroad, even a shallow wound, get to a medical facility promptly. There. Don't shrug it off as no big deal. A vaccine works because it's given while there's still time. I'm not here to scare you. Fear it correctly, get seen correctly, and it's preventable. That's the message. Takeaway: rabies is almost unsurvivable once it develops, but wound washing and post-exposure vaccination right after a bite can prevent it with high probability, it's said. Bitten by an animal abroad. Don't leave it. Get seen promptly. Just one aside. As a student, I genuinely thought, rabies has nothing to do with me if I'm in Japan. Later, learning that many lives are still lost to it abroad, and that the after-a-bite vaccine saves an enormous number of lives worldwide, I quietly reflected. Ignorance usually arrives paired with complacency. A pathogen controlling its host. That's sci-fi, surely? In nature, it's fairly routine. The eeriest thing about a zombie is that the infected look controlled, moved not by their own will, but in a direction convenient for the pathogen that exists in nature. The prime example is the parasite Toxoplasma gondii. When it infects a mouse, it's known to change the mouse's behavior. Mice normally instinctively fear and avoid cats, their smell, but infected mice have that fear and avoidance blunted. And it goes further. Infected rats not only lose their innate avoidance of cat odor, but are actually drawn toward it. A phenomenon researchers call fatal attraction, confirmed experimentally. It's interpreted as the parasite steering the mouse toward the cat, because it completes its life cycle by ultimately being eaten by a cat, moving the host to suit its own reproduction. Very zombie-like. But here I draw a calm line. Such host manipulation genuinely exists in nature, but what's firmly established is mainly behavior change in rodents. It is not evidence that Toxoplasma zombifies humans. The mechanism of infection changing behavior is real, but its scale and target aren't the movies. Takeaway: a pathogen steering its host's behavior is a real phenomenon. But what's solid is the mouse story, not evidence of directly zombifying a human, it's said. Can Haiti's zombie powder put someone in suspended animation? A compelling theory, still unsettled. A commonly cited root of zombie lore is the zombification powder of Haitian voodoo. Is there a scientific basis? There are two sides. On one side, it was reported that Tetrodotoxin, TTX, the pufferfish toxin, was detected in a Haitian zombification powder. TTX is a potent nerve-paralyzing toxin. In some amounts it halts breathing and movement. The narrative: perhaps it produced a state that looks dead but is actually alive. As a story, it's well made. However, other researchers strongly disagree. The TTX detected in the powder was only a trace, and the claim that it's the causative agent of zombification has no scientific basis, they argue. So the TTX theory, compelling as it is not settled. Picking one side and declaring the zombie's true identity was pufferfish toxin isn't fair. My honest conclusion as a doctor: whether zombie powder can truly place someone in suspended animation is, at present, unknown. There's a compelling hypothesis, but the evidence wobbles. That's the fair thing to say right now. Takeaway: the zombie powder equals pufferfish toxin theory is famous, but with reports both supporting and refuting it, it's unsettled, unknown. Don't declare it. The heart of the zombie's horror probably isn't the dead rising. It's a person, through infection, ceasing to be that person, aggression, hydrophobia, control behavior. These genuinely exist, scattered through real medicine as rabies and toxoplasma. Fiction may just have bundled real-world fears into a single monster. But real medicine teaches one more thing. Rabies, the vaccine can still make it in time after a bite. You can't prevent the rising, but you can prevent this zombification. That's takeaway enough for today. Monsters are a doorway into how strange the human body is, and real bodies and diseases are far more interesting than you'd guess. And, known correctly, you can be ready for them. See you at the next checkup. Thanks for watching. I'm Dr. Water. Subscribe for the next body check, and I'll see you at the next appointment.